I've never seen somebody talk like that in the middle of a fight. Even Habib talking, he talks a lot lower than that. Kevin Holland's almost screaming.
Huge right hand, shows this out! Kevin Holland, 5-0 in 2020!
Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC on ESPN 21. Derek Brunson versus Kevin Holland. We got two free plays that we're going to talk about on this card. Have a side that I'm going to be playing on the main event. Also have a prop bet on the co-main event. So definitely want to talk about those. But before we do, I definitely want to also discuss the giveaway that we are doing here on the show. Just announced it on Twitter. We are doing a raffle giveaway of John Jones' signed, authenticated autograph on a glove. Really excited about it. I know a lot of people are already excited about it, DMing me and kind of getting involved. So basically the way you do enter into this is you have to go on Twitter, and what you gotta do is there's a post that I have on there. It is already pinned up on my profile. Basically, you go on there and you like it, you retweet it. You also have to follow me. So all three of those things, follow me, retweet, like, all three of those, and then in that post, tell me who is going to win at UFC 260, the heavyweight title between Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou. And you have to tell me who wins and what round. And if there's going to be multiple winners, which there's a good possibility there could be a couple multiple winners, I will then from there, if there's 4 or 5, whatever it is, put them in a hat and pick a winner from there. So go on there, take a look. It is free. You just got to follow, like, and retweet that post, and you are involved and you are entered into the contest. So that is the 27th, March 27th. The next day on the 28th, I will announce the winner. So definitely go check that out. Be a part of it. Also follow me on there. Subscribe here, like, comment, all those other great things. Always appreciate the support here as we continue to grow here on the channel, grow on Twitter as well. So I always appreciate all that. But let's give you some winners this week. Really excited about this card here. Really excited about UFC 260. 261 looks obviously amazing as well. So a lot of great things kind of coming up down the pike for the UFC. But today we are going to talk about the main event of the evening between Derek Brunson and Kevin Holland. So like we always do here, we're going to go 3 fights for each fighter to see what we see if one fighter can expose the other fighter, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. So what we're going to do here is we're going to first talk about the mouth, Kevin Holland, the trailblazer. We're going to talk about him first, and we got the current line now. We've got Kevin Holland is a -180. You've got Derek Brunson roughly around the +150 range. Take a look. Books are definitely kind of, they're starting to shift around here. A lot of money kind of coming in. So we're going to take a look first at Kevin Holland. And 3 fights ago, he fought Darren Stewart. Now, this was a fight here where, you definitely thought that this was an opportunity where really you could have Holland shine. This was a spot where, you got Stewart who, has some grappling ability, definitely some nice striking ability, well-rounded, but someone like Holland really should be able to go out there and piece him apart. And in this fight here, you definitely saw right away out the gate, you did see that Stewart clipped him. Ended up clipping Holland, and I think that was kind of shocking. I mean, obviously, Holland goes in there, he's a cocky guy, kind of, very lackadaisical with his defense, got clipped early, but he went out there from there and started kind of, utilizing his weapons, kind of going out there, utilizing his weapons. He was definitely up against the fence a lot, which I think is something that's going to happen Saturday night against Derek Brunson. You've got a guy who's got a wrestler, going to be looking to push him up against the cage. How was he able to fare from there? I thought he did really well against Stewart, where he was going in there in the first round, up against the fence. They were kind of both, shifting positions. It was a good showing for him in that spot because a spot like that is really a great spot for a wrestler or a grappler to kind of get that takedown. But he goes in there into that second round. He fended off more takedowns. And I think there was another one where a spot, I think it was earlier, where, throwing a kick, Stewart took him down. It was a nice takedown from him. But from there, he didn't really do too much. He actually allowed Holland kind of squirt back up. But the one thing that you see, and you will see it through these fights that I go through, is that when the fights go a little bit deeper, Holland has definitely slowed down, and he definitely, he's got some early knockouts, he's looked spectacular, but this was a spot here where, you kind of saw him slow down. He won the first 2 rounds. Into that 3rd round, you started to see, the takedown happening for Stewart. Stewart kind of getting control of the top position. Holland comfortable in the guard. There was definitely some spots there. He goes out there, he gets the decision victory, very close decision victory. But this was a spot here where I thought he really should have put a stamp on it. Kind of went into that fight, kind of steamrolling through Stewart. Very tough fight for him, very close fight for him. But he goes out there and gets decision victory. 2 fights ago, he fought Charles Ontiveros, and I'm not going to get into this one. Ontiveros was a plus 550. This was really a lopsided bout. It was one where Holland kind of comes into this fight. It was a situation where the fight was kind of put together, and long story short, he goes out there. He does get the submission finish. He does look good in the spot, so he did what he's supposed to do. But again, lower level opponent, but he goes there and gets the victory. The next fight I want to talk about is the most recent fight against Jacare Souza. Now, this was a fight in a situation where you got a guy who's a grappler, who's going to be looking to take advantage of certain things that you have when you're talking about the grappling ability, and is it going to be able to, something that Holland can really fend off. And I'm sure you all know, obviously, what happened in the situation where, Jacare went to push for those early takedowns. He went for the early takedowns, and, he bounced back up. But like I said, Holland looked good where, he was on his back and kind of squirted back up. But again, the smaller cage really helps these grapplers. And it was able to get Jacare kind of pinned Holland up against the fence, had an opportunity for him to kind of do more. And even from there, Jacare looked very comfortable. Took him down. But also, Holland looked very comfortable, very, very comfortable, where he's talking. He's saying, hey, nice shot. And, as he's on bottom, where most people, where you've got Jacare on top of you, you are scared to death. You know that there's an opportunity for, at any moment, to be choked out, submitted, your arm, your leg, a limb, whatever it may be. And he was very comfortable there. And even there, kind of fending it off, very relaxed. And then he threw one nice shot, which kind of clipped him. Kind of rocked him, and then from there he just poured it on, got on top of him, got the finish. Holland gets the victory. But the only part there is he was taken down. Is that a spot where, is that a vulnerability? And he did, again, get out of it, and you've got a guy, like even with Darren Stewart, who, has that ability to get those takedowns, and he was able to do it, but Holland was able to get up. So can he do that against another type of grappler, a wrestler like Derek Brunson? But he goes out in this situation, finishes Jacare in impressive fashion, gets the victory, and there you have it there. Next fight we'll talk about is Derek Brunson versus Elias Theodorou. Now listen, I'm not going to even get into this fight. I gotta say, the most annoying fighter to watch is Elias Theodorou. Now, he is the kind of guy where he kind of does these like aerobic strikes and these awkward movements and whatever it may be. I don't even want to get into this fight really, but basically, Derek Brunson goes out there, gets a decision victory, a very ugly, odd kind of fight, but he does get the victory in that fight. Because the other 2 fights I think are very important. I kind of flew through the other side of Holland because I really want to tie it together at the end. But the 2 fights I really want to focus on is really going to be Ian Heinisch versus Brunson, and also Edmund Shabazian versus Brunson. So the first we'll talk about here is Ian Heinisch. And this was a fight here where you've got another wrestler. You've got a guy who's a wrestler, who has ability, not scared to, mix it up, has good pressure, has power, great balance when you're trying to get him on a takedown. He definitely has a lot of those great things. In this fight here, right away, Heinisch came across the cage and threw a big shot. I mean, he threw a big shot, rocked him. I believe it was a head kick. Do I have it down here? Yeah, it was a nice head kick. I mean, he came out guns blazing, knocked him, rocked Brunson. But I gotta say, Brunson, people have kind of gave him an iffy chin. Hey, does he have the ability to kind of take the shots? He took the shot, and from there, he really kind of composed himself. Heinisch kind of looked to pour it on. But Brunson couldn't get the takedown. And again, he had some really good, locked in takedowns, nice level changes. Heinisch, again, with the background that he has, good grappling ability, was able to kind of get out of those positionings, and that's takes away a weapon from Brunson. But the big weapon for Brunson is his cardio. Now, I really think this, his output can be pretty nice, but the cardio is a real big key for him. And this was a spot here where Heinisch was kind of looking to, steamroll, put the pressure on, blaze through him, get him rocked, and then pour it on. And he couldn't do that. And into that second round, Heinisch looked very tired. He looked very tired. And that was really where the pace started working for Brunson. Brunson kind of started pushing forward, landing some nice shots, pushing Ed, looking for the takedowns and making him work. And even on the takedowns, a lot of times too, it's not just trying to get the takedown, it's really just getting the opponent to work, get him tired, get him down, make him, carry your weight, get him back up, and again, grapple, and up against the fence, all the positioning, in the clinch, dirty boxing, that's gonna wear on a guy that may want to have a little bit more space, or a guy that doesn't have the gas tank, that's gonna help him extremely. And then this fight here, it went from the second round into the third round, was all Brunson. Brunson kept pushing forward, landing big shots. Then you saw the wildness, the wild shots of Heinisch, who just really didn't have anything left. And Heinisch does have a good gas tank. So to see him kind of peel off at the end of that, I think says more about Brunson and really how he's able to dictate the pace, force guys to kind of work his or hit his pace, and he ended up going out there. He gets the decision victory and does beat Heinisch. I thought it was a great showing from him because he wasn't able to use one of his big weapons on the takedowns, but he was able to find a way to get a victory. And then most recently against Edmund Shabazian. Now this was a fight where everybody, big, praise on Edmund. Undefeated fighter. Was having some spectacular knockouts. Looked amazing for a young guy kind of coming up. And, Derek Brunson is that gatekeeper. He's the guy who has definitely been able to kind of spoil some hype trains. And this was a spot here where, again, the first round, the opponent has that ability. And that's something that I think where Holland may have some success is that early round, is where really Brunson's, I don't know if it's, I wouldn't say slow starter because you've seen him have a bunch of knockouts early in fights, but that first round, he has laid off, and even against Heinisch, he kind of gave Heinisch the opportunity to kind of play a little more defense than offense, and then he worked from there, and Brunson kind of turned the defense into an offense, and ended up going up there and getting some more opportunities to kind of score some points, get level changes, and mix it up a little bit. And against Shabazian, kind of was the same thing. That first round, Shabazian looked great. I mean, he kind of pushed forward, he looked good, landed some nice shots. Again, a defensive, more patient kind of Brunson early in that fight. And I thought he looked sharp. I thought Edmund, that first round, he looked really, really sharp. And then he was pushing the pace, had nice combinations, had even Brunson up against the fence when he was pouring it on. But into that second round, again, you saw, it looked like Shabazian earlier, in that first portion, that first minute or two, nice, opportunities for him, threw a nice body kick, landed some really hard body kicks. But into that middle of that second round, he just started tailing off. And that was really where you had a guy where Edmund looked, won that first half of the fight, I would say, at least my opinion when I rewatched it again last night, won that first round and a half. Into that second round, middle of that second round, it was all Brunson. I mean, Brunson started landing big shots, pouring on him. You could see that really it was all wearing on him. It went from really sky high for Edmund to just had nothing left in the tank. Poured it on, kept going forward, and that was where Brunson had success with the takedown. Got that takedown late in that second round and just brutalized him. Ended that second round, big gash, and it almost looked like going into that third round. I mean, they flat out asked, Edmund, are you okay? Like, do you want to continue? It looked like he wanted no part of that third round, which it showed because then Brunson ends up going out there right away, getting a ground and pound finish, beating up Edmund Shabazian and getting the finish in that third round. So there you have it there. Now tying that all together, big part here, obviously, you've got Brunson, he's got the wrestling credentials. He's shown some power. He's definitely getting older, but he's shown some power. He's shown some ability. Been that kind of that gatekeeper kind of guy where he's derailed some top level guys. I'm sorry, not top level guys. Derailed some hype trains. Lost to some top level guys. And then you've got Kevin Holland, who definitely is a great. He's really coming into his own. Great combinations, very rangy striking. He's got that reach advantage. Here he's going to have about a 4-inch reach advantage. That 81-inch reach that he had has really just been sensationally used well. A lot. Not that he just has the reach. He's able to use it very well. You saw him even on his back against Jacare, kind of how he utilized that, was able to get to, start touching Jacare from his back. I think those are some of the good things about both of these guys, and the 100% takedown defense also that Brunson holds as well, which I'm sure Holland is not going to be looking to go that route. But I think the biggest portion there's two big portions, I think, of this. First thing is going to be the competition level that both have faced. I think that is a massive gap between these two guys. And when you've got a guy, Brunson, who, is 12-5 in the UFC. That is his record in the UFC, is 12-5. Now you've got Holland, who, has shown, I think it was 5-0 last year, beat some good guys, but a lot of guys he had no big names. Yes, he beat Jacare. Jacare is tailing to the end of his career. He is just really a, minimal of what he used to be. When he gets a guy on the ground, he's submitting you. I think it's all kind of tailing away from him. He's shown definitely vulnerabilities a little bit with Stewart, where he had a very close fight against a guy that I think he should have steamrolled. But when you look at what Brunson has done, Brunson is 12-5 in the UFC. The only people that Brunson has lost to is Yoel Romero, Robert Whittaker, Anderson Silva, Jacare, which was a couple years ago, and Israel Adesanya. And he's beaten everybody else. So the people he's beating are top 5 guys, current, past champions. I mean, he's not losing to these middle-of-the-road fighters, these guys that, hey, can, he isn't. Now, is Holland an elite guy? I'm not, I cannot put him there. I cannot put him there yet, especially the caliber of guys. He has not been tested. This is a massive test for him here. Jacare was one where, hey, it's a grappler. Can he get out of it? He was taken down, and he ended up, getting a KO off of his back. It's not going to happen very often, where you're going to have a guy who's going to be punching from the bottom, landing, and finishing the fight. That's probably one of the worst things you could do, punching from the bottom instead of working positioning. It worked out for him. It could have been very bad for him. Now you've got, Brunson, who's the wrestler, going to look for those takedowns. I think that's going to be an important part of this. Now, that's one part that I think is massive, is just going to be the competition level, who they face. Brunson getting older, but definitely has shown he can fight and hang with some of these guys. Yes, he's been knocked out in certain spots, but again, the competition level and who he's lost to elite level guys. But the second part is the cardio. I think that is a massive part of this fight, because you've got someone like Holland who is going to look for it's a 5-round fight. And you've got someone like Holland who has shown to slow down in certain spots deeper into fights, where he's shown to be a little bit gassy. He's gone through it. He's pushed through it. He's got some wins. But you've got someone like Brunson who I believe has solid cardio, has got a good pace, definitely the level changing. This is a spot here where I feel this is like a dog or pass here. I can't, I am not afraid to be betting a minus 230. If it's a good spot, I will definitely pay up to get that. To get a fighter that I believe is just maybe is a minus 350, minus 325. There's definitely value into that. Here, I don't see it. I don't see it. I have bet Holland a lot over the last 5 fights that he's had. But in this situation here, I think the plus 150 on Brunson is better. That's the absolute value on this. I don't see value on Holland. I think the pace is going to be tough for him. I think the early first round is going to be tough. I think without a doubt, that's where Holland can maybe jump the gun and kind of catch him and get a finish. But I think after it goes into that second round, once it hits that second round, middle second round, that is really where Brunson has shown, even in past fights, with the Heinisch fight, with Shabazian, where guys are kind of pouring it on him, thinking this is the way to finish Brunson, and he's lost that way. But also, I think, he's working with Henry Hoof. I think there's a lot of great things here that he can come out there and derail another hype train here. So for me here, it's dog or pass. This is a value play for me here. I think that Derek Brunson is the play, is the side. So in this, I will be, as my one free play, I will be doing Derek Brunson at plus 150. And the other one, we're just going to, again, I'm just going to kind of give out, not really going to give too much detail on it. The other one is Gregor Gillespie versus Brad Riddell. And you've got Gregor is minus 230. You've got Riddell is a plus 184. Now, this is going to be a prop play for me here. Now, I think the first thing we're going to address before we get into this is Gregor's last fight where he got brutally knocked out by Kevin Lee. Now that fight, there's not much to watch. I rewatched that one also. Not much to take away from it. The only thing that I would take away is I thought that Gregor's hands looked pretty good. Now I know he got knocked out. I know that's hard to say, but this was a step up for Gregor. This was a big spot for him. Kevin Lee, he's shown some bright spots and some not so bright spots, but he's another guy who's fought elite level guys most of his career and looked pretty good in some spots and looked not so good in some spots. This was a fight where, this was a great, stylistic matchup for Lee, with Lee's background in wrestling, able to really counter the wrestling of Gregor, it really worked out really well for him. Really a stylistically tough matchup for Gillespie. So that's one thing. But you've got on the other side of this is, Gregor is a finisher. And, I like Gregor to get this. I think he goes out there and gets the job done and gets the win. But he is a finisher. And since in the UFC, he has had 7 fights. Obviously, his most recent one, he lost to Kevin Lee. So he's got 6 wins in the UFC, 5 of which came inside the distance. His only his only decision was his first UFC fight. Since then, he's had some ground and pounds, some submissions, knockouts. He's looked great. This is a spot where can he take Brad down? Can he work him from the top? Can he find a submission? And again, this was his last fight, and I think it's a great thing, was that after that knockout, which was in November of 2019, Gregor's taken time off. He took time off. I think that's to really fine-tune his MMA skills, really up his striking. All around, I think that's going to help him. Again, smaller cage. I think this works out great for Gregor in this spot here. So can he take Riddell down? He's definitely going to have the ability to kind of fend off some of those, but I think the pressure, what he can bring to the table, I think Gregor's going to get the job done inside the distance. You've got the number getting off of the -230. You've got inside the distance is a +120. I like that number. I think that's a great value play here. So as my other free play, I'm going Gregor Gillespie inside the distance +120. So those are my 2 free plays for UFC on ESPN 21. Definitely take a look at my Twitter if you want to get involved in the giveaway. It's John Jones signed glove with authenticity certificate included. I'm really excited to give that out. I'm really excited for you guys to be a part of it. Got it right from the UFC store, so should be getting that probably any day now. And there you have it. So definitely get involved, like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff, and we will see you on the next one. I'm excited about UFC 260 next week. We will have a show then, and I will see you then. And this is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.